Yeah, so as we were saying, Andrew Berry was on NFL Network, The Insiders, yesterday, I do believe, or the day before yesterday.
Yep, last night.
Yesterday.
Yep.
And he talked about Deshaun Watson being ahead of schedule, and he also gave some insight to Amari Cooper's contract situation.
All right, let's start with the Deshaun Watson part of that. Andrew Berry told, it was Ian Rappaport, Mark Garafolo, and one other person. I'm drawing a blank on their name right now. But he said if you didn't know Deshaun was hurt last season, just saw him throw this spring, you wouldn't even know he was hurt. Mm-hmm. He said he's ahead of schedule. He took his regularly scheduled rest days where he just did the mimic throws during OTAs and minicamp. Tyvis, are you buying what Andrew Berry's selling, that Deshaun is actually ahead of schedule right now?
I mean, when I watch him throw the clips that the little clips that we've seen that they allowed us to see via social media, he looks fine. I mean, he seems to be throwing the ball with some velocity. It doesn't seem like he's got a hitch in his throw. So, I mean, yeah, I anticipate that he'd be ready for week one. I never thought that he wouldn't be. Like I say, if Baltimore, with it broke or with it messed up, he still had a good game second half of the game. So I figured that with it fixed, it should be better. So I don't think that he has any limitations at the moment. I think the Browns went about this the correct way, giving him those rest days and letting him go through the motions on air. I know a lot of people laughed at it, but I think it pays a lot of dividends to be able to go through your reads and not miss a play, because you can't get those reps physically, but you can still get those mentally and keep your mind sharp. And at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. It's about the mindset, making sure that your mind is locked into what you have to do on those plays and not really giving them a chance to relax. So I like what they did there. I expect him to be really good this year, and I don't think Andrew Berry's lying about this at all.
Jason?
No, that's a great answer. That's a great answer.
We don't know what the exact rehab plan is, so for him to say he's ahead of schedule, I have no reason not to believe him other than...
Does he look good to you?
That's what I'm saying.
No, I guess
he may be supposed to be throwing every day at this point, and we have no idea. And he may not be able to throw it all yet, and he's throwing. He's ahead of, we just have no idea. So
it's June.
That's why I say you can say he ahead of schedule or not. It doesn't matter right now. On certain days that I've seen, it seems like he took the reps that he was supposed to take. If you want to simulate to a game, he would take the reps on Sunday and have the rest of the week off until Wednesday. So it's the same thing.
And he threw a couple passes in the last day of mandatory minicamp.
That was
deeper. Was
deeper.
out there that were deeper, had some nice velocity on it, looked like he was stepping into it. So everything we've seen has looked positive. It's just how are we, us three here, with all due respect to the two of the smartest football people I know, how the hell are we supposed to know what his rehab schedule was to know if he's ahead or behind or right on track with schedule? So yeah, I'll take him at face value. I don't think Andrew Berry has any real reason to hide that. I don't think he would say it if it wasn't true.
I mean, the only lies that we ever heard from AB was that he felt good about the quarterback room and the wide receiver room. That was about the only two lies that we ever heard him say.
Well, speaking of the receiver room, I thought the more interesting tidbit that came out of the interview with the Insiders yesterday was about Amari Cooper, who, by the way, it was his 30th birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, Amari. Or 29th to 30th. Oh, we look up how old he turned. 30? 30th birthday, 30. Yeah, turned 30. So happy belated birthday by a day, Amari Cooper. He was asked about it, and in typical Andrew Berry fashion said, it's my policy not to comment on any contract negotiations, but we truly, truly, truly appreciate the contributions Amari's given us. He's a Pro Bowl caliber receiver. We'll see if we can figure it out, but I can't comment on any specifics. Jason, I'm not sure if you were here the day we talked about the Amari Cooper contract situation and extension potential and him holding out. Do you have any sense on where the Browns are coming at this from where Amari's coming at this? I have a theory, but I haven't heard anything definitive.
I don't fault either side of this. If I'm Amari, of course I want a new deal. Coming off a monster year. He knows that there's not much sand left in the hourglass in terms of his career. Like, this is his time to get paid. From the Browns' perspective, I'm not investing big-time money in a guy that I know that the cliff is coming. And, I think they got, the Jack Conklin contract. I know it's a different position, but it's sort of the same thought of, he's getting up there in age. It's a risk, and they sort of got burned by it. And I don't want to make that same mistake again with Amari. So I would not be in a rush to go out and pay Amari. And, everyone says, well, just give him a 1 or 2 year extension. How do you know he's going to take that? How do you know he doesn't want 3 more years? or big. When you look at some of the receiver contracts that are being handed out, it's not as easy as just pick up the phone and say, all right, we'll give you 2 years. What if he says no? What if he says, no, I want 3, I want 4?
Well, my theory, Tyvis, and I want to hear your thoughts.
4
on this.
total, not 4 more.
Yeah. My theory on this is it's not the money they can't agree on, it's the length. And I feel like the Browns, based off a couple of the moves they've made, are trying to keep as much flexibility as possible in 2026, so not for next season, but for 2 seasons, in case they have to extend Deshaun Watson. Not in case, that's not the right word. In case they decide to extend Deshaun Watson because he's played up to the level that they hoped they were getting when they traded for him. And if that's the case, then I can understand why you don't want to have money tied up to what would be a 32-year-old receiver at that point who, based off historical records and track records, would be on the decline. There's always the exception, but you would assume in 2 years Amari will be past his peak. So I'm guessing the Browns are coming to the negotiating table saying, Amari, we'll give you a little raise this year, we'll give you next year guaranteed, but 2026, you're on your own. And I'm not sure if Amari, to Jason's point, is willing just to take a 1-year extension because he might be thinking, I play well again this year, hit the open market in 2025, and I'm going to get another 2-3-year deal on top of that for more money. So I think it's more of a length issue than it is a financial and money issue between these two sides.
I think you might be right on that one. You definitely want as much money as you can. You want like the Von Miller contract. The Von Miller contract is terrible right now to Buffalo, but you want something like that where you get extended years with knowing that you're protected, and financially. I think that this situation is one of those they gonna try to call each other's bluff. I think that's kind of where this relationship is headed to. The Browns are gonna look at this season and say, you know what? We got Jerry Jeudy, we got Amari, we got Elijah Moore. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go out there, we're gonna see what this offense looks like. If Jerry Jeudy takes off, we can say, Amari, we appreciate everything that you've done. You've been a professional Brown. You've gotten back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. You've done so much for this franchise to help elevate it. We appreciate your services, but we're looking to move younger. We got to get this money tied up into some of these younger guys. So we're going to try to draft us a wide receiver. It won't be quite the caliber of Amari Cooper, but you get the point. We got to save some money. Amari Cooper's going to look at this season like I got to absolutely go insane this season, because if I go insane this season, it's going to put the pressure on the Cleveland Browns to come holler at me around mid-season trying to extend me for a little bit more money and maybe give me an extra year that I want. Maybe instead of 2 years, they give me 3. Or if they don't want to do that at all, I still got to ball anyways because I need the next team to look at this. So it's really a lot of pressure on Amari Cooper this season. And over for the past couple of seasons, he's missed, a couple of games a year with some type of nagging injuries and stuff like that.
Nothing serious, but...
Yeah, it wasn't serious, but it did affect him enough that he kind of took a step off of his speed a little bit. So I think that's kind of where the Browns is like, dude, we can see that, when you get older, obviously the body doesn't recover the same. And we can see that it does affect you at some point in these games. So I can see why the Browns want to go younger at the wide receiver position. But until you got that definitive answer that you got 2 good wide receivers, you ain't got no choice but to try to keep Cooper around because you know at least what you're getting out of Amari Cooper.
I did a hit this morning on the morning show with Ken and Anthony. And in the very end, they said, who's got the leverage? And it was interesting. I thought the Browns had leverage. I'm curious to hear from a former player.
I agree with that, by the way. Slight.
Yeah.
Slight.
Like Amari's leverage is look at the rest of the receiver.
Yeah.
What are you going to do if I'm not here?
Exactly.
So that's where his leverage play. Mm-hmm. But the NFL is such a different animal because the contracts aren't guaranteed. I feel like in any situation, the team has the leverage until proven otherwise. As a player,
in this situation, I would say that they do because at the end of the day, they can still draft somebody young.
Yeah.
The thing about wide receivers is college football has done such a good job of churning them out every year. Like it's multiple good wide receivers in each draft every year.
But the Browns can't seem to find them.
Yeah, because we wasn't picking to the third, but
we
got a first next year.
Yeah,
so if they can secure that left tackle spot, then they can spin. They can use that draft pick to get a first round talent at wide receiver, and I think that could possibly be the threat right there. Where it's like, if the wide receivers are killing it and it's a bunch of wide receivers, they'd feel comfortable moving off of Amari because they feel like they can re-get another one that could be I won't say as good, but could potentially be as good as Amari Cooper.
Yeah, you're not going to draft a guy who immediately steps.
No, he ain't. No.
Now, there's the rare exceptions. There's the Justin Jefferson who comes in and has like 1,200 yards as a rookie, and you trade away Stephon Diggs and you get Jefferson, and it's a wash. But you can't bank on that happening with a draft pick that you would hope the Browns are taking next season in the 25 to 32 range.
Yeah.
Like, that's a high ask from a rookie. To your point, Jason, on who is the leverage, I do think it's slightly in the Browns' favor. Le'Veon Bell's the only guy we've really seen like call a team's bluff and say, I'm just not coming in.
Yeah.
And look at how the rest of his career panned out. He did get his money, but he was never the same player again. Now, he was younger than Amari Cooper when he did that. I'm not saying Amari would have the same complete drop-off, and I don't think Amari would sit out the entire season.
He can't.
I feel like he's too
At
far
his
in his
age, he
career
cannot.
to do that,
Yeah.
so I feel like the Browns do have a slight advantage in the leverage battle, but it's certainly not 80 to 20. It's like 55-45 because the Browns do need his presence in the receiving room, especially with knowing how much is on the line this year for so many different guys.
Here's where the leverage flips for him. And I have this is total hypothetical, which I hate doing. I hate doing hypothetical, but I'll play along for this one. Let's say Amari holds out to start the year. And
He ain't going to play in the game one.
yes, like I have no knowledge that he would actually do this. But let's say he holds out for training camp, waiting for a new contract, misses the preseason, misses week 1 against Dallas.
And Judy gets hurt.
And they just don't look good.
Or they look terrible.
And Deshaun is 14 of 31 for 180 yards, 2 picks. Judy can't get open, and the offense looks like trash. You think Andrew Berry might pick up the phone and call Amari at that point?
Yeah.
But do you wait that, like, now you're missing checks? Yeah. Like, do you want to
You're
wait?
going to make that check back up, though.
Well, yes, but, like, that's where if he really wants to dig in his heels, that's how long, in my opinion, that's how long it would take for him to create leverage over the Browns.
Well, interesting.
Now, the flip side of that, if Deshaun's 26 of 30 against Dallas for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns and he's not out there.
But the interesting thing is he missed all the camp or spring ball, right? OTAs? Amari?
Yeah.
And he missed mandatory minicamp?
This year, yeah.
So this is the interesting thing. This is the funniest part about all this. So remember about a month when they made the Judy trade, and I got on here and talked about it, they would have got a kid from Alabama, kid from South Florida, so they could say
so Judy could then study under Amari, who's his
so
hero.
Amari ain't there for him to study under. So he might be the same as he looked in Denver. So now it's like maybe he's like, you know what? I love you, Judy. I really do, but this is a business deal.
It's business.
Like I can't give you the sauce of how to be successful and then just let you take my spot without me getting down. So that could be the leverage that he's playing. Like I'm not about to coach up no young dude to take my spot. That makes no sense.
I don't blame Amari one bit in this. If you're Amari and you just busted your ass for this team, and they just trade for a guy who has underachieved,
did he break the
extend him right away?
Did he break the record for most yards in the game against Houston?
Yeah.
I don't.
Like, how can you not pay him? How can you not?
How can you not pay him? Because he's 30 years old. That's how you
He
cannot
just
pay him.
came off of a good year
That
where he
doesn't
just
mean
broke
he's
the
gonna-
record.
That doesn't mean he's going to be good 2 years from now.
And last
I agree with you.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Like,
agree.
There is no bad guy in this.
No.
I don't think. There's nobody in the wrong here.
They're both
This
coming
is
from
just
the
the
right.
business of football.
And the difference, and I'm not sure you were here the day we talked about it, and then we'll move on to the Guardians in 1 second, but if Amari signed a contract now, he's negotiating against Jalen Waddle, or not, he's negotiating the same ballpark as Jalen Waddle, Nico Collins. He's not in the Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown dollar worth, but he's in the Devonta Smith, that range. If he does not have a great season and then tries negotiating next offseason, he's working off the Adam Thielen 3 for $25 contract. And if you're Amari, you're looking at $25 million a year, or you're looking at $25 million total for 3 years, give or take. And he's better than Adam Thielen. But what's up, Mark?
So when I talked about this last week, I proposed 2 years. I think it was $52 million. What y'all think about that?
A bump this year,
Above
and
this
then
year.
for next year. So
Right.
1 year. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would do the money. I'm just not sure Amari would take a
I don't
1 year
know that
extension.
Amari's
I think that's the disconnect here. If the Browns could get him under contract for this year and next guaranteed, I think they'd sign the deal today. I think Amari wants an extra 2-3 years after that.
I think the interesting thing about this one is, you know, the Browns typically take care of the people that feel like has done something for their friend. Like Nick Chubb. They took care of Nick Chubb. So they would think in their mind the way they would take care of Amari would be this year, next year. But beyond that, like, they don't want to really move off of that. I'm interested to see.
It'll be interesting.
It will be interesting because I can see it both ways. I see it both ways, and I guess that's the good part of being out of it now, that you can see. I can see both sides of where they coming from.
This is
obviously I'm leaning more towards Amari Cooper because I'm a former athlete.
Sure. Yeah.
I got another question.
But real quick, this is Amari's last chance to get paid.
Yeah.
This is
it.
Which is why he wants
So are
to
you
get
going to
paid.
take a 1 year? You going to take a 1 year deal on top of what you're at now? Just one more year?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Totally hypothetical, and I asked this on X this morning. Hypothetically speaking, do you attempt to trade? Say you trade Amari Cooper for Brandon Ayuk and pay Brandon Ayuk, or do you keep Amari and just pay Amari?
Ayuk's better than Amari and younger.
I was about to say you would trade that.
You don't think it's the easiest thing you've ever thought
If
about.
if you believe in Ayuk and you got the funds to pay him, you would definitely trade him because now you got Judy and Ayuk. You got essentially your 2 wide receivers. Now you can take that first round pick and worry about your left tackle.
Yeah, I think that's pretty locked up. What would you do real quick, Earl? Then we'll talk guards. Would you keep Hooper?
I would trade for Ayuk and pay Brandon Ayuk just for the simple fact he's younger.
Yeah.
I think Amari's had clearly a better career, but I think his potential says he can probably match or surpass the production of Amari Cooper going forward. So
I think Ayuk was an All-Pro last. Oh, you are hurt. Holy hell.
I'm fine.
Ayuk was an All-Pro last year. I don't think Cooper's ever been an All-Pro in his career, so it's close. But Ayuk's younger and has definitely a higher